Hello everybody, this is Refresh and I am here to take a look at Ultra Pro's board game sleeves Lite for standard American cards. This is 56 millimeters by 87 millimeters. These are the smaller of the two standard American cards, and these sleeves are clear. One pack of these sleeves comes in at an MSRP of $2.99, and for that money you get 100 sleeves, which averages out to about 3 cents per sleeve, which is on the low end of sleeves overall, but it is not the least expensive sleeve per sleeve that you can purchase. Still, it is a budget sleeve all the same. So let's go ahead and take a look at what's inside. As you can see, the sleeves are smooth and glossy on both sides. We'll count the sleeves to make sure that there are 100 here. That is exactly 100 sleeves. Now we'll check the thickness of these sleeves. 100 sleeves comes in at 1 centimeter. That means that each sleeve is 100 microns thick, or 50 microns each face. Now we'll measure the dimensions. These sleeves are 59 millimeters wide by 89 millimeters tall. Now we'll see how a card fits. I have a treasure card from Munchkin right here, and we'll put it right inside. Fit is pretty good. There's a little bit of space around the sides and around the top, but it seems pretty uniformly distributed. Now it's time for the sleeving test. I have 45 Munchkin treasure cards here. I'm going to put them into these sleeves as fast as we can. Ready, set, go. That took 2 minutes and 11 seconds to sleeve these 45 cards. That is an excellent speed of 2.91 seconds per card sleeved. I think that these were pretty easy to sleeve. I do think the sleeves felt just a little fragile in my hands as I was sleeving them, and so you have to be a little bit gentle when you are opening the sleeve to put the card in versus the thicker sleeves, which is pretty common for these thinner sleeves. And I also noticed while I was sleeving them that some of the sleeves had some very mild denting on them, and all the sleeves had a very mild warp to them that you'd really only notice, I think, when you are sleeving the cards. But once the cards are in them, I think the card themselves will be able to distract you from any of the warping that was originally there. Now that I have sleeved these cards, we'll check for their uniformity and their consistency out of the package. These sleeves are uniformly tall and uniformly wide, so that is a good thing. And then the consistency out of the package, I mentioned that there were some dents and there is some warping on the surface of the sleeve. But as you can see, even though this sleeve has a dent here, like most people will not notice that particular dent. And the warping on the sleeve doesn't seem very apparent once you have the card in the sleeve. And so these are minor cosmetic blemishes. They may be important to you, and so keep that in mind if you are looking at these sleeves. But that is that for the uniformity and consistency out of the package. Now it's time for the shuffle test. I have this deck here. I'm going to shuffle it 100 times. Ready, set, go. All right, it took 1 minute and 52 seconds to shuffle this sleeve deck 100 times. That is a pretty good speed of 1.12 seconds per shuffle. There is nothing really egregiously wrong with this shuffle. Like with a lot of soft sleeves, the handling isn't the greatest. There's a slight bit of sponginess to the edges of the sleeves as you hold them with the cards in them, and so that isn't the greatest feeling. And then the corners always feel like they're gonna bend in the process of sleeving the cards, and there is a sound that these make when you are running your hands across them that I don't find all that pleasant, but some people won't have any problems with that. But the cards slip into each other without too much difficulty. The last push does require a little bit more effort, but there isn't much resistance, and I think that makes the overall shuffle feel decent. Not great, but decent. The general feeling of the sleeve in your hand isn't that great, even if the shuffling is relatively easy. Now that I've had a chance to handle these sleeves a bit, we will take a look at them to see how they held up. Alright, so overall, I think that the sleeves held up fairly well as far as soft sleeves go. There weren't a lot of bent corners, and there wasn't a uniformity to any of the bent corners. There were a few. Some of the bottom and top corners got a little bit of bending as I handled them, and so it does look like this will suffer the general fate of a lot of soft sleeves, in that as you handle them, the corners will get increasingly bent, which will make it harder and harder to shuffle. But generally, the sleeves corners weren't that terrible, and so I think that for soft sleeves, these will hold up decently well. And I didn't notice any major new dents or creases or any other damage to the sleeves. There weren't any split sleeves, there weren't any new dents or anything like that, and so I think that the sleeves held up fairly well. There is a little bit of loss of the gloss on the sleeves as you look at them, but it is a really mild loss, and I don't see any scuffs on them specifically, and so I do think that these sleeves may lose a little bit of their luster over time, but the sleeves should still hold up fairly well in terms of their presentation, even if they're not going to be quite as glossy after many, many plays of games with them. Now it's time for the shake test. I have stacked these sleeve cards into a deck. I'm going to shake the table that they're on for about 2 seconds and see if they hold together. Ready, set, go. Okay, the sleeve barely budged. The deck is all in one piece. The sleeves actually stick together a bit, and so as you can see, I'm just pushing the entire deck around with just the top of my hand. So the static holds the deck together pretty well, and I don't expect this deck to topple unless it's extremely tall. Now I'm going to do the draw test. I'm going to draw 3 cards off the top and see if the deck holds up. Ready, set, go. Alright, I think that is a pass. The deck is holding together pretty well even as I draw cards off the top, and that's even with these somewhat bent Munchkin cards, and so I think that I'm not really concerned that the functionality of a sleeved deck is compromised by the sleeves. The sleeves are sticky, but not so sticky that they'll carry another sleeve with it as you pick it up, and so I think that you are pretty safe using these in terms of their general functionality. So what I think about the Ultra Pro Lite board game sleeves. Well, I think that they are pretty good for soft sleeves. I think that the handling of the sleeves is decent, and I also like that the deck holds together pretty well. But even as it sticks to itself, it doesn't make it impossible to draw cards, and they come off the top quite easily, and so I like that as well. I do think that the sleeves suffer from the general issue with soft sleeves in terms of their long-term durability. The corners will eventually start bending, and it'll make it harder and harder to shuffle, and you may want to seek replacing these sleeves at some point, depending on how often you play these games or how much you need to handle the sleeves cards once you have put them into sleeves. And so that all depends on the game cards you're putting into these sleeves, and then how you play with the sleeve cards as well. This may be a decent product for you. I don't think that the aesthetics are great in terms of the denting and warping that you will see in some of the sleeves, but it is not terrible either, and they are relatively inexpensive, being the second least expensive sleeves of this size. And so if you're looking for soft sleeves, or you're just looking to sleeve your games of this size fairly inexpensively, I think that this is a pretty good choice for that purpose, especially thanks to the relative uniformity of the sleeves that come in the package. So that is my experience with the Ultra Pro Lite board game sleeves for standard American cards. If you have any experience with these sleeves, please let us know in the comments below. I also have links to surveys in the description box below that you can click on and share your experience when it comes to the durability and consistency of these sleeves and other sleeves of this size. If you found this video helpful, hit the like button. If you'd like to see more of my videos, you can hit subscribe. This is Refresh. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.